Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. My name is Jenny Sloan. I'm one of the careers consultants here at the university. Today's session will be recorded. We've already started recording, so feel free to have your cameras on or off, whichever you feel most comfortable with. But please do keep your mics off unless you're asking a question, just so everyone can hear properly. So today's session is open to everyone, students and graduates, but it's especially useful for final year students and recent graduates. And as I said, today's session is recorded and you'll find it on the Career Service YouTube channel in about 1 or 2 weeks or so. But if you register, you will receive the slides and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So today's session, we've got an hour together today and there's quite a few things to get through. So we'll be covering quite a lot. Hopefully by the end of today's session, you will know where to look for different types of graduate jobs, depending on what you're looking for. We're going to touch briefly on the hidden job market, and there's lots more resources available to help you with that. We're going to talk about how to research different sectors, employers and jobs, and how to effectively read job descriptions. And then finally, we're going to cover the ways in which we can support you as a career service throughout the whole recruitment process. There's lots of different stages. Some of them can feel a little bit overwhelming, but support is available at literally every single stage. After this, there will be some time for questions. So I'd imagine the sort of presentation itself would take about 45 minutes, and that should leave us between 10 and 50 minutes for questions. If you would like to unmute yourself and ask a question, that's absolutely fine, but most people just put them in the chat and we'll come to them at the end as well, and that's completely fine as well. Okay, so an overview of what we will cover today. So there's 3 main parts to today's presentation. Firstly, we'll talk about the what of graduate jobs, so the different types of graduate jobs available. Then we'll cover the where, so where to find these opportunities. And finally, we'll cover the how, so what the recruitment process will look like and the support that is available. And then there'll be time for questions as well. But just to note, before we get started, a note about equality, diversity and inclusion. So here at the Career Service, we know that not everyone has had the same experiences of both career support, but also recruitment processes in general, like application forms and interviews. So just to reassure you that we're here to offer you impartial support, regardless of who you are or how you identify. And if you'd like to find out a bit more about that, have a look at the equality pages on our website to find out how we can support you. Okay, before we get started, can I ask that you register for today's session? So there's 2 main reasons for that. Firstly, so we know who's come, and secondly, so we can send you the slides and also the recording as well. So as I said, it'll be on the Career Service YouTube channel about 1 or 2 weeks, but if you register, receive the slides that act as sort of a workbook, because there's lots of links to different resources. So Sammy has just put that in the Zoom chat. So please just click ahead and register. You can also scan the QR code if you wish to. So the what of graduate jobs, the first part of our session, let's just go ahead and get stuck in. So there's a lot of myths about graduate jobs in general, but especially around the UK graduate labour market. So before we get started, I thought we should tackle 2 of the main ones. The first one I hear quite regularly is there's not enough graduate jobs, and this has been especially prevalent since the pandemic. And this is just not true. So according to Prospects and the Institute of Student Employers, ISE, the number of graduate jobs is now 20% higher than it was in 2019. Before the pandemic. What's more, the number is due to even increase compared to last year by more than a fifth. So there are plenty of roles available. It's just about having the right mindset, being equipped with the right skills and experience, and crucially knowing how to apply those skills and experiences onto applications, and also just knowing where to look for the opportunities that you're looking for. And we'll cover most of that, if not all of it, in today's session. Another myth that I hear quite often is from graduates who are worrying that they'll have to move to London after university to find work. Of course, there's nothing wrong with London. There's lots of great graduate opportunities there, but it's not the only place you can build a rewarding and diverse and really fulfilling graduate career. So again, data from Prospects Luminate shows that most graduates in graduate jobs actually don't work in London, and they never do. In fact, in 2019, only over a fifth were in London 6 months after graduation. And more than half of graduates from the Northeast and Northwest, where Manchester is, who went to universities in these areas, stayed in these areas for work. So, different kinds of graduate jobs that are available. So, as a general rule of thumb, there are 3 types of graduate jobs. Firstly is the graduate scheme. So these are leadership programs, management trainee programs, fast tracks, development programs. They have lots of different names. They're mostly with larger organizations, but not always. And they often have annual intakes at key points throughout the year, usually sort of October, November time for a following October, September start. The key with graduate schemes is to apply early, often before the deadline, because sometimes they can close a little bit earlier than the deadline, depending on application levels. The next is graduate entry-level roles. These are the majority of graduates have this type of job. So this is when you're employed directly into the organization, either big or small. Graduate entry-level roles, they don't all advertise in the same way, and organizations often advertise based on need. And we'll go into a bit more detail on that. But that is the vast majority of graduates are employed in those types of roles. And the third is graduate internships, and these are often short-term graduate level work, usually about a year or less, with different employers. So just on screen here are a couple of examples of employers that some of our 2017, 18 and 19 graduates went on to work according to graduate outcomes data. So all of these big names, I'm sure you'll recognise a few of them, if not all of them, have large graduate schemes that recruit nationally on an annual basis. And lots of graduates, start their career with these types of organisations. They may stay with them beyond the graduate scheme itself, that usually lasts between 1 and 2 years. Some graduate schemes are a little bit longer. And others just sort of work there as a springboard for their early career and then go on to different organisations or even sectors. Graduate entry-level roles, the vast majority of graduates go into these types of roles, and on screen here you'll find examples of entry-level job titles. So there's lots there: advisor, analyst, assistant, executive, researcher, trainee. There's 2 worth pointing out. So intern, if you see this in a job title, just make sure to read the description in a bit more detail, as internship opportunities can be open to students too, or even exclusively to students. So for example, if the job title is social media summer intern, this could just be for students. If it is social media graduate intern, that would indicate that it's just for graduates. And also manager, you don't often expect to see this in a graduate job title, but it can be common. You can see things like trainee manager, project manager, account manager, things like that. So we do have a graduate entry-level job title glossary for a bit more help in understanding each of these positions and what they mean. So definitely have a look at these on our website. And then an example of a graduate internship, which is the 3rd type of graduate role, is Manchester Graduate Talent, MGT. So Manchester Graduate Talent is officially open, actually. It opened, I think, last week, and there's lots of live vacancies on Career Connect at the moment, with more added every week. MGT advertises a range of graduate level positions in Manchester across lots of different industries, usually from April to December time, but the busiest time is sort of May to August. MGT is really good because the competition is automatically reduced due to the criteria. So MGT sources paid graduate level jobs for University of Manchester graduates, but 2021 and 2022 graduates this year. So you're automatically reducing the candidate pool. And there really is a whole range of sectors, but what they all have in common is they're for 2021 and 2022 UOM graduates, and they are all in Greater Manchester. There's lots of benefits to MGT internships, from building your skill set and network to gaining more experience for your CV, and they act as a really good springboard for your next role. So there's lots of ways you can keep up to date and find out about the latest vacancies. There's a couple of examples there: the website, Facebook group, and you can also register for the vacancy bulletin as well. And Sammy will put those links in the group chat too, so you can just follow them. Okay. So here's just a couple of examples of live MGT vacancies. You can just go ahead and search for MGT vacancies on Career Connect at the moment, but there's a couple of ones that are live at the moment along with their closing dates. There's a real range of roles that will be advertised throughout the course of MGT, from business development, IT and marketing, to HR, student engagement, sustainability, finance, lots of different roles. So definitely sign up for that if you're looking to stay in Manchester after graduation. Okay, so now hopefully you have a better idea of what to look for. So those 3 types of graduate roles: the graduate schemes, the graduate entry-level roles, things like assistant, associate, executive, graduate, etc., and your graduate internships as well. The next stage is knowing where to look, which is of course crucial. And there's 2 main strategies as part of this area. So the first strategy is applying directly for advertised vacancies. Advertised vacancies are easier to find than hidden opportunities, but because they're easier to find, they tend to be a bit more competitive. There's 2 main ways a graduate or a job in general can be advertised. It could be through a job search website or through the company directly. For example, the website, the company website, the newsletter, or their social media. So let's break this down into the different categories that you might be looking. So if you're looking for a graduate role, a lot of graduates default to websites like Google and LinkedIn. And while these are useful, you might find that you come across a lot of non-graduate level roles. So for example, roles that don't require a degree, or roles that aren't geared towards graduates. They maybe require 5 or 6 years experience. So that's not a graduate level role. Websites like Career Connect are really useful for looking for graduate specific roles. And also national graduate job search websites like Prospects, Target Jobs, Guardian Graduate Jobs, Glassdoor. All of these are really helpful in advertising graduate specific and graduate level vacancies. And Indeed and Reed can be all right as well. And then if you're looking for a graduate job in a specific sector, you can use the websites that I've just mentioned there, but there's also more specific websites that are useful. So if you've got a specific sector in mind or industry that you're interested in, have a look on our website, because we have a list of over 200 targeted graduate job search websites by sector. So for example, if you're really interested in marketing, like a lot of our graduates are, websites like Campaign, Bubble Jobs, PR Week, Marketing Week, they're all really useful. But if you're interested in environment and sustainability jobs, websites like ENS, Green Jobs, Environment Job, they can be really good. Also, professional body websites can be really useful as well, not only for vacancies, but also for sometimes they run like free events and networking like webinars and things like this. So for example, if you're interested in HR, you've got the CIPD. If you're interested in civil engineering, you've got the Institution of Civil Engineers or the Royal Academy of Engineering. So they're all really useful for finding out, for expanding your network within that sector, but also looking for vacancies specifically in that sector. But perhaps at the moment, the most important thing for you is location. Maybe you want your first graduate job to be in a certain country, abroad, for example. So Passport Career gives you access to over 80 country profiles with lots of information on the best places to look for jobs in that area. And they also run lots of webinars that are really useful. So as a University of Manchester student and graduate, you have free access to Passport Career, which is absolutely brilliant, and I definitely recommend that you use it if you're looking for graduate jobs abroad. Prospects also have brilliant country guides, a section on their website called Prospects Country Guides, and it has lots of information on local labour markets and countrywide skills shortages and things like that, broken down into sector. Also, if you're thinking of working in Europe, the government website has quite a good sort of country guides page as well. That's on our website. And then maybe you have a specific employer in mind. So maybe you're looking for a graduate job specifically with an organisation that you really want to work for. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but the company's own career pages on their website is a good place to start. You can often sign up for a newsletter or sign up to hear about vacancies, and their social media as well, including LinkedIn, but also other social media like Instagram or Twitter, for example. Definitely follow those. Just a little note about recruitment agencies. So recruitment agencies can be helpful, especially industry specific ones like finance or engineering. But have a look on our website for more advice on how to use them to complement your graduate job search. I wouldn't recommend relying on them exclusively, but they can be a useful component of the wider sort of a toolkit that you use to look for graduate jobs. So you can have a look at our website for a bit more detail on that. Okay, so you can use Career Connect now and for up to 2 years after you complete your course as a graduate. And Career Connect really is a really good place to start when you're looking for graduate jobs. So you can use it also to register for events. Obviously, you've used it to register for this event. You can book appointments on there. You can search and apply for opportunities across 31 sectors and multiple locations across the world. So as of yesterday, there were 1,411 full-time job adverts on Career Connect. And adverts can fall into within up to 4 sectors. So here is an example of our top 20 sectors with the highest number of full-time vacancies in each one. But just remember that one role could fall into more than one sector. But it's just to give you a glimpse of the wide variety of graduate jobs available there. So, you know, IT, finance, accountancy, management, consultancy. There's also lots of graduate jobs available in areas not listed here, like government, charities, translation services. I just didn't include them because I just included the top 20. But you can search by a sector, location, job type even. So definitely use Career Connect to look for vacancies as well. The busiest time for vacancies on Career Connect is May to September time. And they'll have multiple start dates. So you might find some vacancies that are being advertised now will maybe have a June start date. But some vacancies you might find advertised in September might have a September start date. So now let's move on to the hidden job market. So this is your second graduate job search strategy, the hidden job market. We could have a whole session dedicated to the hidden job market. I have just put it the key points into one slide, but we often do run lots of events on the hidden job market. So definitely keep an eye out in Career Connect and register for them if you're interested in this. So only about 20%, it's hard to tell, but roughly 20% of jobs are openly advertised. 70% are secured speculatively, and then the other 10% are secured through things like networking. So the hidden job market is very common in really competitive job sectors like charity, environment, design, the media. And in these sorts of sectors, networks are so important. So it's really, really important to be connected, to be courageous, and to really go for it if you're thinking of tapping into the hidden job market. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, 100% create one. That's your first step. We've got lots of advice on our website on how to create an effective student or graduate LinkedIn profile. But LinkedIn really offers opens a lot of doors in terms of you can connect with everyone that you meet. So if you go to employer and alumni events and careers workshops advertised on Career Connect or on company websites, make a note of the people that have attended and send a connection request on LinkedIn to panelists and speakers on LinkedIn, and this is how you'll build your network. Just make sure to include a message on LinkedIn when you send a connection request, saying something like, hi, I was in the audience at one of this event that you ran, I'd love to connect, or something like that. And you can connect with classmates, staff from the university, careers staff. Feel free to connect with myself. You can connect with colleagues from part-time work, peers from volunteering opportunities that you did, friends, family. And again, there's lots of advice on our website about, how to send those connection requests and how to start conversations with employers and alumni. But just make sure that you have a professional social media presence, and that it really illustrates, your profile really illustrates your achievements and your skills and your experiences. You can book a 20-minute appointment on Career Connect with an application advisor, where they can go through your LinkedIn profile and give you feedback on how you can improve and tailor your LinkedIn profile. So that might be worth it if you're a little bit unsure. So have a look at our speculative job search guide online, and we also have a template speculative cover letter to help you get started. A speculative application is just when an employer or an organisation isn't actively advertising a vacancy, but you're just writing to them with your CV and a cover letter that states that you're interested in working for the employer, and if they have any opportunities available, you'd love to hear more and things like that. So yeah, 70% of jobs are filled in this manner, so it's definitely worth it, particularly if you're interested in one of those really competitive sectors. That was just sort of a whistle-top tour of the hidden job market. There's a couple of recordings that might be helpful, and remember, you'll get these slides if you've registered. A couple of people have joined a little bit later, so Sammy, would you mind putting in the registration link in the chat again? If you have just joined and you missed the start of it, just make sure to register so you'll get the slides and you can just click through all of these links. So yeah, the 2 recordings there, how to navigate the hidden job market, and another one on creating a network if you have limited connections. So one of the best ways in which you can build your professional network and start making those connections is by attending alumni events, but also employer events. The University of Manchester has been named the UK's most targeted university by the Times Top 100 UK employers. And one of the ways in which employers want to engage with our students and graduates is through advertising events on Career Connect, that you can attend and you can engage with. So here are just a couple of examples of upcoming employer events. It's a little bit quiet due to the Easter break, but we do see that there are more events. There's lots of events throughout the year, just a bit quiet at the moment. So feel free to attend these events, find out more about the employer opportunities, connect with them on LinkedIn, where they'll be promoting further opportunities in the future. And that's how you start to build that network. Okay. If you have a specific employer in mind, the first port of call is their website. So their website is a really good source of knowledge about the company culture, mission, values, as well as recent news stories, achievements and awards that they've won. So go onto the website and look under the About Us section. That's actually quite a useful tip if you're preparing for interviews or writing cover letters as well, because you'll often find out lots of information about the company on the website, and you'd be surprised at how many people don't look at the website before applying for a job. Social media is also really useful, so make sure to follow them on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. This is where you'll find the latest news and updates. If they're not hiring at the moment, they may well do in future, so it's important to stay connected. But just be conscious of your social media presence. You want it to reflect yourself in a professional manner. So just be conscious of that before connecting with employers on LinkedIn or following them. If you're applying speculatively to an employer who isn't hiring at the moment, make sure that you really tailor your application. So research the company. Even a quick Google can bring up recent news stories about projects that they're involved in, recent investments or funding that they've been awarded. You can also subscribe to industry news, relevant blogs, professional membership body websites to find out more about industry trends. And you could even actually look at the annual reports on the company website, because that could give you more information about their clients and their competitors. Again, quite a useful tip if you're researching for interviews too. You can also join alumni panels that are advertised on Career Connect, or research alumni who have worked at the organisation that you're applying for. So again, use the alumni search tool on LinkedIn. How you do that is you just you put in the University of Manchester in the toolbar, and you or the search bar, sorry, and then you click on alumni, and that will bring up all the alumni. Well, we've got over 500,000 alumni, but all the alumni that have stated that they've gone to the University of Manchester on their LinkedIn profile. And you can search by country, you can search by job title, organisation name, and that's actually quite a good way of connecting with alumni who are working in the organisation that you want to work in. And reach out to them, ask them how they found their job, what it's like, do they have any tips. Some of them will reply, some of them won't, but you haven't lost anything by asking. Websites like Glassdoor and the Student Room are useful as well in terms of insights, and there's lots of more advice on how to effectively research employers and jobs on our website. But it's totally fine if you do have an employer name in mind, but don't just stick to the branded companies that you recognize, because there's lots of fantastic opportunities with smaller or lesser known organizations as well. And this is particularly helpful to remember if you're really keen on breaking into a particular sector, but haven't been successful with some of the industry's larger graduate schemes. So definitely research smaller, more local organizations operating in the sector that you're interested in. SMEs, small or medium-sized enterprises or businesses, account for 3/5 of employment in the UK and around 50% of turnover in the UK's private sector. So the graph here from Statista shows the total number of people employed by SMEs in the UK from 2011 to 2021. So that's over a total of 16 million with an estimated turnover of 2.2 trillion. So they really are big business, and there's lots of benefits of working within a smaller or medium-sized organisation, including more hands-on responsibility from day one, getting to work more closely with senior colleagues and even CEOs, you know, for startups and things. And also you can often be exposed to a greater diversity of work experiences as well, which can be useful in your early career. So again, have a look at couple of the resources there and links to further information points about where you can find out more about working for a small to medium-sized business. Couple of things to remember before we move on to the how of graduate jobs. So you know, exploring different sectors and employers and jobs is really important, but there are a couple of things to remember. So it's okay if your first graduate job isn't your dream job or your forever job or even the perfect job. It's so unlikely that you'll stay in the same job, even sometimes the same employer or sector, for the rest of your working life. So instead, look for something that you think you'll enjoy, you'll be good at, and that you'll learn something from, and give it a go. There's more than 30,000 jobs out there. You can't do all of them, and you probably wouldn't want to. This is just one step. Your graduate job is just one step in your career, in a long journey. So as long as it's something you think you'll enjoy, something you'll be good at, and something you can learn from, then it could be worth applying for. It's completely fine if you apply for a graduate scheme more than once. So some graduate schemes are really, really competitive. And if you have your heart set on it, you can apply again the next year and just take on board the feedback and use it in your application or your interview or your assessment centre the following year. Just check for the conditions. So do they accept repeat applicants? Some do, some don't. So just make sure that you check that first. But sometimes it can take a couple of goes. And you can do other stuff in the meantime. You can get a job in a similar organisation or the same sector while you're applying for that graduate scheme. It's okay to take a short-term role or a part-time vacancy or graduate internship like an MGT to try out a certain job or sector to see if you like it. That's definitely worth remembering. A step in any direction, you know, is a step forward in any direction is a step in the right direction. If you can't break into your dream sector, like, you know, journalism or TV, which are very competitive, straight away, think about how you can get the skills you need for graduate roles in that industry. So for example, for journalism and TV, skills like and experiences like copywriting, PR, marketing, digital media, social media, advertising, communications, these sorts of roles will all give you exposure and experience to the skills that you need to develop and the knowledge and experience that can then be translated into journalism or TV or media. If you're really stuck and you really don't know what to do after university, and you want to discuss it and explore your options, definitely talk to a careers consultant. So we can help you explore what's out there, what might suit, and help you develop a plan of action. So you can book one of those appointments on Career Connect. They're 30 minutes. You can book one every 30 days, or they're 60 minutes if you have a disability or health concern. So that's what we're here for. We have appointment slots every week that are available. So please do go ahead and book one and have a chat with us, and hopefully we can help you figure out a plan of action. And just two final last points. So it's important to be flexible and open-minded when considering your next steps. And remember, if you don't know what career you want, as many graduates don't, start by focusing on the next 1 to 2 years. What do you want to get out of the next 1 to 2 years, and just go from there. But that's something that a careers consultant can talk to you a bit more about, and hopefully give you a sense of direction if you book an appointment. So now we're going to move on to the how of graduate jobs. So we've covered the kinds of graduate jobs available and where to look for them. So now let's look at the graduate recruitment process. It can be a little overwhelming depending on the vacancy and the stages of the recruitment process, but there's lots of support available from the Career Service now and for up to 2 years after you complete your course. So do remember that as a graduate, you can continue to use the Career Service for up to 2 years after you finish your course. So the first stage is finding the job adverts. So say you're looking at all of the websites, or you've signed up for vacancy alerts on some of the websites that we've discussed. You will find a job advert. Every job advert will look different. Some are short, some are very long, some have lots of details, some don't. But again, just remember when you're looking at it, think, would I enjoy it? Not necessarily forever, but would I enjoy it? Would it boost my experience and bring me closer to where I want to be? Can I do it? And then if the answer is yes to all of those questions, then it may be worth applying. So look at a bit more detail. As I said, every job description is different in the way that every job is different, but mostly they have 5 main areas. So the first is basic information. This is information like the job title, salary, the contract type, is it full-time or part-time, the location, it can be various nationwide, it could be a specific location like Manchester, it could be remote, it could be in the office or the lab or the workplace in general, it could be hybrid working, a lot of roles are hybrid at the moment. Basic information will also include the start date and sometimes interview dates as well, which is quite useful if you've got exams and things like that. You can plan around that or a job. Next, the company description. So this is an overview of the organisation, who they are, what they do, what's their purpose, their culture, their values. If it doesn't include this in the job description, have a look on the website to find out more, although I'd always recommend looking on the website anyway, because there's often a greater breadth of information on the website. The job description itself, so this will outline the day-to-day responsibilities of the role, what you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis if you're successful, what you'll be responsible for. Then there will be, the person specification. So this will include essential and desirable criteria for the role. So that will include qualifications, skills and experience. But 78% of employers, graduate employers, don't look for a specific degree subject. They just want you to have a degree, and sometimes a good degree. That could be sort of a 2.2 or above, or 2.1 or above. So it's definitely worth looking at that. If you fulfill all of the essential criteria, but not the desirable criteria, don't let that put you off applying. If you fulfill most of the essential criteria and there's just some of the criteria that you don't fulfill, have a look and think of ways in which you can develop those skills through an online course, volunteering, including remote volunteering. How could you develop those skills before applying for the role? And finally, application instructions. So definitely don't miss this. Some people skim over these and don't read them properly. There's multiple ways for applying for a role. Often jobs will have specific instructions about what documents to submit and how. For example, could be a CV and a personal statement as PDFs instead of a Word document, or a cover letter and an application form uploaded to the website via an applicant portal. So definitely look at those in detail and pay particular attention to the closing date too. So as I said, not every job advert will have all of those, but those are sort of the main components in a graduate job advert. So the recruitment timeline, Again, every job will have a different timeline. So you might come across a job that is just an application form and an interview. And if you're successful in both, you'll get offered the job. Other roles, particularly on graduate schemes, will have more stages. So they might have, you know, an initial application and then a psychometric test and then an assessment centre, then a group interview and then a one-to-one interview. So there's lots more stages and these often take longer. That's why a lot of graduate schemes start the recruitment process in September, October time, and you'll be made a job offer around March, April. Whereas graduate entry-level roles, direct graduate entry-level roles, some of those might have, you know, just a CV, a cover letter, and then an interview, and the recruitment process could take 4 weeks, if even. But we'll go through all of the stages, so at least you know if you come across any of those. So the first is the application form. This could be a CV, a cover letter, an application form, or a personal statement, a mix of all 4 really. And this is the first stage of most graduate jobs. Then you've got psychometric tests. So there's lots of different psychometric tests, from critical, verbal, logical, numerical reasoning to situational judgment tests to game-based assessments to personality assessments. There are absolutely loads. And these are usually done online. Also, you've got in-tray, e-tray exercises, things like that. Then you could have a telephone or a virtual interview over WhatsApp or Zoom or Teams. This is often with a member of HR, and it's used to identify your motivation for applying for the role and your general fit for the role, just in general. The next stage could be an assessment centre. These are often in person, although obviously over the pandemic they were online. They last between maybe half a day and 2 days, and it often includes lots of group work. For some roles, this could be the final stage of the process, and it might include an individual interview as well. I should point out that all of these stages may come in different orders as well. And then you've got your interview. So this could be separate or as part of the assessment centre. It is often with like an individual, so your future manager or the CEO or another senior manager or business partner at the company. And finally, the job offer. So the job offer is usually over the phone, followed by an email confirmation and then an official confirmation of appointment by letter when you've accepted, along with your contract of employment, the T's and C's, things like that. So there's quite a lot of stages, but remember, not every role will have all of these. Particular direct graduate entry level roles, they might only have a couple of them. So just a couple of top tips for each stage. There's loads of advice for each stage, and there's lots of resources to help you with each stage, which we'll cover in the next slide. But just before we do, sort of a top tip for every single stage, because some of you might be going through some of these stages right now. So application form, or just in general your application, tailoring is essential. So a recruiter can spot a generic application a mile off. So make sure to tailor to the specific role as well as the organisation. A lot of people skip this stage because they prioritize quantity over quality, and that's not a successful approach. It's better to concentrate on quality and really tailor your applications for every role that you apply for. Next is psychometric tests, or online tests. So practice, there's lots of practice tests available, and don't be put off by numerical tests. Often it's just a question of revisiting the basics. So if you think back to your GCSE maths or equivalent, there's lots of websites that can help you revisit these, like Math Centre, BBC, Bite Size. It used to be called that, but it's been renamed as something else. But the BBC website is really good at revisiting those sort of numerical and mathematical basics that can be really helpful in practicing for psychometric tests. Online phone interviews, I guess the best tip for that is to treat it as you would an individual face-to-face interview. So prepare thoroughly and dress professionally in the same way that you would for if you're going into the workplace for a face-to-face interview. Assessment centre, the main sort of thing here would be to remember that the purpose of the assessment centre is not to be the loudest or the most vocal. The company want to see how you react to, include and listen to other team members, because that shows how you will work as part of a team. And in basically every role, you'll have to work with at least one other person in some capacity. The interview, again, prepare, research the company website, reread the job description, have car examples for each of the each of the skills listed on the job description. CAR is context, action, result. There's more information about that on our website. And also have a couple of good questions to ask at the end of the interview as well, because that is often part of the assessment process. What questions do you ask the interview panel at the end of the interview? And finally, the job offer. Just one thing to remember here is you don't have to answer right away or accept right away. It's okay to ask for a little bit of time to think about it. Of course, don't take too long, as they may offer it to someone else, and definitely don't ignore the job offer, as this could be translated into you declining the offer. But it's okay to say, oh, thanks, can I have a couple of hours or a day or two to think about this? I really appreciate the opportunity. Okay, so support with the recruitment process. Each of these stages, there are lots of support. There's lots of support available as a student and again as a graduate. So with psychometric tests, loads of online support, free practice tests on our website. We've also got a pathway on Career Connect, which is a self-guided module on Career Connect that talks you through the basics of psychometric tests and how to prepare effectively for tests, assessment centres and interviews. My colleague ran a session called How to Prepare Better in Psychometric Tests, and also another session on preparing for situational judgment tests, which are really common, particularly in graduate scheme recruitment processes. So definitely have a look at both those recordings too. Applications, we have loads of support with applications. So CV advice and support, online guidance on our website. We've got cover letter templates and support, lots of advice on application forms. Career Set, you can get instant, structured and personalized feedback on your CV and cover letter instantly. So definitely worth looking at that. You can book a 20-minute application advice or CV review appointment on our website, where an application advisor will look over your application form, your CV, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile before you submit it to the employer. And also a Career Connect pathway as well, which is self-guided online learning all about applications and CVs, cover letters and application forms. Assessment centres. So again, on our website, you'll find lots of online resources on assessment centres, including information on how to deal with and manage group tasks, interviews, presentations, even social events, in-tray, e-tray exercises. FDM, which is a big employer, they wrote a blog article on remote assessment centres, which, as I said, are increasingly popular. And there's also a recording on how to prepare for online assessment centres too on our YouTube channel. So have a look at that if you're going through that particular stage at the moment. Then interviews. So we've got lots of online support with interviews. We offer 30-minute practice interview sessions where the careers consultant takes the role of the interviewer and asks you questions based on the job description in your application. So it's a really good safety net and a way to practice before the real thing. You can also practice video interviews on Shortlist Me that you have free access to as a student and a recent graduate. And there's lots of online resources and support on our website as well to help you prepare and practice. So we're going to move on to questions now. Just a couple of slides about ongoing support and different resources that you can use. As a reminder, please do register so we can send you these slides, because as you'll see, there's lots of links to further resources that are helpful. So I appreciate not all of you will be final year students. Some of you may be recent graduates. So if you're a recent graduate, this may be this slide may be of less use to you, although the next slide will be helpful. But if you're a final year student, there's a couple of resources on our website to have a look at. Understandably, you'll be concentrating on coursework and exams at the moment, but when you're ready, the career service is here. So when and if you would like to have a brief look at what's available and help you get started, these are the 3 best places to start. So we've got career support in your final year, essential actions for around this time, and 7 things to do before you graduate as well. You can just scan the QR code there. Ongoing graduate career support. So remember that you can continue to access the career service for up to 2 years after you finish your course. Everything that you could access as a student, you can access as a recent graduate. So this includes online resources, application advice, interview practice appointments, one-to-one careers guidance, careers fairs and workshops, So if you are a graduate and you want to find out a bit more about ongoing graduate career support, have a look at the graduate pages on our website. And this is new, actually, the recent Graduate Careers Network. So I'd recommend that you join this if you're a final year student or a recent graduate. Sometimes it can be good to join before you finish your course. And this just means that being part of this group means you can stay up to date with all the career support events and programs available. So Sammy will put the link to this in the group, in the Zoom chat. And it means that you don't have to go hunting for all the information. The highlights will be on the Graduate Careers Network on LinkedIn. So yeah, join today via the bit.ly link or on the group chat. Okay. And coming soon, so we're in the planning stages of this. It's something that we're planning for everyone, but it might be most useful for those graduating in 2022 or who have just graduated in 2021. It's called Future Fortnight. It will take place from the 13th to the 24th of June, and it's a 2-week programme of on-campus and online career support and activity, especially for those graduating in the summer or who have just graduated in, say, 2021. So as I said, we're still in the planning stages, but if there is something that you'd like to see as part of this programme, please do put it in the chat and we'll bear that in mind when we're putting together the programme. More details will be revealed soon, including information on how you can register for online and on-campus career support. It'll be on Career Connect, but it'll also be advertised via the recent graduate LinkedIn group and the Career Service social media as well. So they're the best places to stay connected and up to date with things like that. And here are the 4 of our main social media channels, how you can stay up to date. And you can just scan the QR codes to follow them or just search them. But this is the best way to find out about new events and programs and other careers support initiatives that might interest you. So last slide before we move on to questions, the graduate outcome survey. So you might remember I was talking about that when I was giving you examples of the types of employers that our graduates go on to work for as part of graduate schemes. So the Graduate Outcomes Survey is the largest annual social survey in the UK, and you will receive an email if your email address with us is up to date, your personal email, 15 months after you graduate. So that might seem like a long time away for the final year students in today's session, but it could be quite close for any 2021 graduates. Yeah, make sure to complete the survey when you receive it. It really helps the university improve and promote our courses. It helps make presentations like this. You know, I was able to pull the employer examples for graduate schemes from this, and it also helps the government and researchers and policymakers understand the graduate labour market a bit better. So you can find out a bit more via the bit.ly link there, or of course you can ask us any questions. So thank you so much for joining today's session. It's been great to have so many of you here. I hope that you found it useful. I'm going to stop recording now, and we've got 10 minutes for questions. So feel free to use the chat to ask any questions that you have, and you can also just unmute yourself as well. So thank you so much, and make sure you're registered to receive the slides.